The 7th Wiesmann Women's Skeleton World Cup of the season. We're in Innsbruck in Austria, the 64 and 76 Olympic venue, and we are at the Olympic Sliding Centre. Hello everybody, my name is Martin Haven. As we get ready for the second of our two runs here, I'm joined in the booth by John Morgan with a fascinating race in prospect. We have our top 4 athletes covered by less than 0.2 of a second. And John, great opportunity for a local heroine to shine.
Well, it's a race within a race. Athletes are qualifying for Olympic positions, not only within their Olympic committees. Here's our young Russian athlete, Nikotina. She won this race last year, second best start in the first heat, and a little skid out of curve 9, or she might have been up closer to the top 2 sleds. Watch out for her in the second run. Now the local athlete, Janine Flock from Austria, who's just been unbelievable the last 3 races. This is the most successful female Austrian slider ever. And here on her home track, she's got herself into a medal position. She's medaled twice on the World Cup circuit so far this year, and she has a chance to do it again. Noelle Pike's pace, second at the end of the first run. She won both runs last week in St. Moritz. She positioned herself to win the triple trophy, which is $100,000, 100,000 euros in prizes, if she won all 6 races in the last 3 World Cups, 6 heats. But she just missed the first place position, so that knocks her out of that triple trophy. And it's this girl here, Elizabeth Yarnold of Great Britain. She's the World Cup leader. She has been the challenger for Pike's pace all year. And Yarnold shows why she's the World Cup leader. The best lines in the bottom part of the track, perfect form, and she finishes atop the leaderboard, but it's pretty close. Only 0.2 separate the field.
900ths of a second, first to second. 0.2 from first to fourth, and then a gap back to Olga Potelica and Maria Oliver leading the chasing pack. Some very close battles with 2 ties in the top 20. Several other athletes separated by just 100th of a second. Of our 21 sliders, Aoka Nakayama does not get a second go. Melissa Hollingsworth, Sarah Reed and Robin Thompson of Canada withdrawn by coach Duff Gibson before the first heat after concussion-related symptoms. They will not compete again until Sochi. Well, as the sun has gone down behind the mountains here, the temperature has really started to drop. John Morgan, that's going to make the ice harder and faster than perhaps at any stage during the week. It just adds an extra complication as the playing surface changes for these athletes.
Well, that, and also it was pretty warm this afternoon, and now they're sliding. It was a little bit colder, and they haven't been in this position all week long. They've been sliding in the morning. So here's our start list, and I expect to see faster times out of everybody.
Yeah, definitely the track didn't seem to be giving away too much speed in the first run, in the end of the first run, but when we get down to our front runners, Janine Flock, Noelle Pike's pace, Lizzie Arnold, the last 3 to go, currently in podium positions. First of our 20 sliders in this second heat, the penultimate World Cup race of the season, going 20-1 in reverse order of their first heat performance. 28-year-old Nozomi Komuro from Japan.
When we talk about races within races, you know, these athletes are qualifying according to their Olympic Committee standards. They're also trying to qualify with their start position in the Olympic Games according to their World Cup finishes. And a lot of these nations are trying to qualify 1 or 2 sleds into the Olympics according to the point system. So there's a lot on the line here tonight for these athletes.
Well, only 20 sleds will start the women's race in Sochi. The first 3 nations will have 3 sleds, the next 4 will have 2, and below that, the remaining nations will have an allocation of just 1 single slider. So lots of pressure on.
Komuro, good lines, better speed than she had in the first run. 117.9 kilometers an hour, 118, that's 73.3. Best speeds were up to the 74.6, 119.6. And Komuro is in the leader's box for how long? She's going to have to find weight a little bit. Got a 500ths lead in the next slider.
0.4 of a second and change quicker than her first run as well, John. So an improvement from her, but the track clearly at least as quick.
Pivotal part of the track here, curve 9. Look at the exit. She's late, and she's going to cross over here and hit the right-hand wall, our right-hand wall, her left. How quickly does the sled come straight? Look at her toes tap. A little bit like a rudder experience. There's the Germans helping out the Japanese.
Yeah.
A little lead-lease program there.
Next up, in 19th place after the first heat, just 100th off 18th, is Lelda Prejelena of Latvia, coached by the same coach, Dennis Dukurs, who coaches their standout male skeleton athletes. Dennis also builds the sled for her, as he does for Martins and Thomas Dukurs. And right outside our commentary position window, some of the traveling Latvian Barmy Army that celebrate these athletes' successes across Europe.
Well, the Latvians really successful in the sliding sports, not only in bobsled and skeleton, but they lack a little bit of women's skeleton, and this young 20-year-old is their hope. But she did not have a very good entrance into that curve 2. Showed her inexperience. She's got a 500th lead on the Japanese sled at the bottom. It's down to 1.
Less speed than Komuro. 86.1 at the next clock was Komuro's speed. If Prejelena is close to that, she could come back. Not that far away.
Komuro had a pretty clean bottom part of the track. Prejelena has got to make up for that mistake in curve 2.
Oh, that's not a bad exit.
Not a good skidding all the way down. 97.4 is not the best speed. This is going to be close, needless to say. Our first 2 of the day. It won't be the last that are close, but it looks like Komuro will be the leader.
Could be a couple of hundreds in it. She drops 0.08 of a second behind, so Nozomi Komuro remains in the leader's box.
Still went quite a bit faster than her first run.
Best result of the season for her, 15th place in Winterberg just 2 weeks ago.
She is taking a lot of schooling from the Dukars brothers. I asked her about that, and she said, well, there's 2 good guys to learn from in my country. And exit of Kreisel. We're going to see that. Look at her toe dragging right there. They're like a rudder to try and straighten herself up for 8 and then 9. And she's a young slider. A couple more years, she'll be up there in the challenging for medals if she keeps this.
She's looking where the cheering is coming from. We're upstairs right above the finish building, and that's where the fans are. Next up, Joske Leconte of the Netherlands. Just 100th of a second separated her from Lelda Prejelena. British coach Andy Schmidt, or Austrian Andy Schmidt, who is coaching the Brits, to be more accurate, is also helping out our Dutch slider.
He's a former world champion, and Austrians used to dominate this sport. Not as much anymore, but they do have an Austrian challenging for a medal tonight.
Well, that's 1/10 of a second slower than her first start, John. That's a dramatic loss of form.
Something happened there. You should be 1/10 of a second off. The other 2 athletes were 100th apart and 200ths apart, so a mistake at the start.
She may have slipped a little off the block.
She only had 100th on the Latvian and 600ths on Komuro, the Japan slider, who was the leader at the bottom. And going to need perfect form here in the bottom. She's got a National Olympic Committee standard. She's got to qualify in certain places. Needs to clean that up at curve 9. So Joske Leconte trying to get herself into the Olympic field. She's bringing it back to 700ths.
Hasn't quite got the speed, though, of the Japanese. 0.6 of a kilometre an hour down means 1/10 of a second.
2 places, only 1100ths back.
Yes.
Well, she tidied up the top. Below 9, she wasn't too bad.
Problem at the start.
Yeah. I wonder if she just tweaked something.
There's the replay on 8 and 9, the pivotal part of the track. The sled gets away from her a little bit here on the outlet. Watch the sled climb high on the wall and comes over here and crushes our right-hand wall, her left. Corrects into 10, but the feet are still struggling, and then down here at 11, 12, and 13, you can see she's having some problems on the speed part of the track.
Nozomi Komuro of Japan, our race leader, with 17 to come. Top of the ice here in Igls in Austria is Romania's Maria Mazilou. 9th fastest starter. This young woman came into World Cup competition just 2 seasons ago. She only started on ice in 2010, and her athletic prowess has really started to ramp up. Just 22 years old. Tiny team, the Romanians.
Well, they're not tiny with their hearts. I mean, they do so much with so little, and they're in all the disciplines. The start was pretty impressive in the first run. 5:53 there in the second heat. 400 slower than her first run. Speed on the left right there, that 47.9, the best sledge. You're going to see high 48s.
She's got the best momentum of anybody who's gone down so far. She could pick up a couple of places here. The girls directly in front are tied for 15th, so she gets both of them or neither of them.
Exit here, cries slingshot effect on the bottom, and she's too early. She came out just a little bit too early. Now she could throw all this away with a bad exit here at 9, and it's not perfect.
96.9 is the slowest speed we've seen so far from the highest going into the Kreisel.
Oh, she's got 2/10 though, and she's got decent speed. She might not maintain 2/10 lead, but she'll be the leader.
It's a wild ride, 1400s in front of Nozomi Komuro of Japan, and almost all of that was from the first heat, 55.41, 2/10 quicker than her first run, John, despite the fact that she probably will only remember those errors.
Yeah, but she'll take that. It's a good finish. Well, it's one of her best finishes of the year, guarantees it. She missed the last 2 races. She was on the Europa Cup and not on the World Cup. Here's the wrong side of the turn coming into 9. Now watch the sled come back down and watch it go back up. That's centrifugal force. And now she's got to come over here and hang out with that wall a little bit. Taps with the toes. And into the leader's box.
Big smile from Maria Mazulou of Romania. First time she's made the top 20 cut this season in World Cup racing. She's our leader with 16 sleds to go, because tied for 15th was Rose McGrandle of Great Britain and Sophia Griebel of Germany. McGrandle goes first, track record holder from December the 7th, 2013. And she raced here in the second tier of sliding, the Intercontinental Cup. Turns 27 next Friday.
5:45 start. Watch the athleticism. Watch her jump on and settles in. 6th best start of the first run. 5:48, couple hundred slower. You would want to think you'd get equal, if not faster, in the second run. But of course, it's getting colder, and that start track up there is changing. The sun's gone down. I got to believe we're going to see better start times, though, as the top sleds come at us.
Grandel, 2600s up on our current leader, Maria Mazulou of Romania. 2/10 of that from the first heat, rest from the start.
And her exit of Horseshoe, Kreisel, decent, good speed. And here's great. This looks like a much cleaner run, and the best speed.
And a great exit. That's a much better run from Rose McGrandle. The fastest speed we saw was barely quicker than that in heat 1. This could push her up the order a little further. That was a very nice run indeed. 55.12, 3/10 better than her first heat.
She would have been 55.12. She'd been in the top 11.
So Woody there in the leader's box. Mark Wood, who's been coaching the ICC athletes, has joined the field here. He was in St. Moritz yesterday for their final races.
Look at the feet. Look at the exit here. Heads up. Little slide out of 10 into 11, 12, 13. Great speed in the bottom part of the track. You're watching some good lines here. The foot comes up there, a little uncertainty in the exit of 11, 12. Look how high she gets here. She was late at 11, caused her late into 12, and almost off the sled. We didn't see that. She was going too fast.
Too fast for us. Rose McGrandle, she leads the field here at Igls with 15 sleds still to come. Sophia Griebel of Germany, 19th fastest starter, 15th at the bottom of the track. The youngest of our 3 German athletes in this World Cup squad, just 23 years old. I'm Martin Haven, alongside me, John Morgan, here in Igls, Austria.
The youngest athlete on the German team. And oh, she fell over the sled, her foot hit. That was not smooth. As we get into the top athletes, you're going to see some great athleticism with the power step onto the sled. And we've seen some awkward moves at the start here in the first run, and we'll probably see it here in the second run. I don't think that was a clean entrance onto the sled by this young German pilot.
Unusually so for a track on which almost everybody learns to slide. They hold bob schools and skeleton driving schools here. This is almost the beginner's track, if you like. But when you're looking for hundredths of a second, John, you push it right to the rapid edge.
And she's way off the pace. Start time, 5th best start time, 10 hundredths down to the lady she was tied with, McRandall.
Sinking like a stone.
The question is, how many places is she going to fall? The German woes and the sport of skeleton continue. Second best time, 59.19. Boy, she came back on the box.
She did.
Look at Jens Mueller, the coach, the former gold medalist in luge at the Calgary Olympics in '88. He's taken over the skeleton program, but
she had stunning speed at the bottom, but it was all too late.
Ran out of track. Needed about 100 more meters. Another 50 meters, she would have been the leader. To start, though, let's watch what happens here. Because she looks slide. Watch the left side of our screen when she gets on the sled. Watch her feet when she crosses over here. Look, and see that toe come down? You can't do that there. That has to be worth something, especially when you're using that as the accelerator.
Rose McGrandler, Great Britain, our race leader from Sophia Griebel. Next up is two-time world champion Marion Tace. And Marion hasn't been on the podium on this track in the last 4 seasons. Unlikely to see her on a starters track podium, and this is the starters track. More even than Calgary in Canada, John. The first 50 meters here kind of decides your finish.
The slowest starter in the field in the first run, 5:74. She's not athletic, and on this track, it really hurts her. But, like her teammate, she knows how to fly in the bottom. If there's anybody that's a pure glider, this is Marion Tace right here. That's why she's won 2 world championships with a deficient start time. Boy, can she find speed in the bottom part of these tracks, but the problem is this track, it's only 1,300 meters.
This is a drag race that she's always behind.
3,600. She might get it down in single digits. Watch the speeds, 98.9, that's great speed. She'll probably get 118.9 or so here in the second one. 119.8. Gonna run out of track. She's gonna get it just running out of track.
Yeah, another couple of 100 meters. But then we kept saying that we got to simmer it since she wasn't there.
Tied her teammate. Yeah. Just look at the coaches. The Germans. I just can't believe the Germans, world champions in their own right, and a lot of these athletes. Look at Marion Tace, continues.
Well, you've got to think that they are still playing with equipment and runner choices and setup, and sometimes you're miscuing, and I think that was not good for her.
Well, look at the eyes. Kevin Aff at 10. Look at the speed. I told you she's a speed merchant. The problem is she's not very good the first 50 meters, and on this short track here in Innsbruck, no chance.
Only race leader Lizzie Yarnold hit 119.8 in the first heat, so Marion Tace with plenty of speed. Not sure quite what the Dragonfly's about. Got to ask Lucy Chaffer, the teacher from Perth in Western Australia, 30 years old, beg your pardon, and one of the athletes that was identified by the Australian Olympic Committee to come into a sport with which they could make a big bang for few bucks.
Watch the power step on the sled. Athleticism. She just falls on the sled. Head down, very confident there in that first curve. 3rd best start. She's got a 1,400s lead. Now watch the clock here on the left. Everything is about this clock right here. Speed track, 48.0. You need at least that. She might lose a little bit more back from that 1,400s. Yeah, down to 13, that's not bad. So she's stopped the bleeding. It was some good lines down here in the bottom part of the track. She should be the leader, but we know what this Kreisel can do right here.
Way slow in speed. And again, the track is changing so dramatically from training. I'm sure a number of these athletes have been misled by the conditions and have gone for a setup that is not working.
She's 1.5 kilometers down to the top speeds. Now the question is, she could fall behind both German sleds. She could fall back 3 places.
Easily there, tied for seconds. She's the leader from Rose McGrandle by 700.
Wait a minute, let's see that speed. Whoa, did she turn that around?
But she didn't even have the speed. 1:18.4. Well, quicker than McGrandle, but
she was red numbers there.
Yeah. She doesn't know which way that one went. She had to hear from the coach. What?
She surprised us, Lucy. Curve 10, this is where she found a way to light it up, acceleration, but 4th best speed, that's what had us suspicious of the time in the bottom. I thought she was going to fall 3 places.
She found some good lines there and worked them well. Rose McGrandle offers her congratulations to new leader Lucy Chaffer from 13th after the first heat. 12th place in heat 1 was the USA's Katie Uhlaender. And Katie, one of the most experienced women in the field now, has taken a couple of races off. Didn't race in Winterberg, the first race back after Christmas. Like the Canadian athlete, suffering with a little bit of concussion-related symptoms. Frequent headaches, but really pushing hard to get to Sochi in the best form of her life.
Yeah, she usually has the best start. Here she's 4th. You know, usually on this track she'd be down in the top 2 or 3 at the start. She's won on this track before. She's a former world champion. She's a former World Cup champion. And like a couple of the other athletes, she has concussion-related symptoms, and that slowed her progress. But she's still 3-4 weeks away. I was impressed with her performance in St. Moritz last week. She had some great speed in the bottom part of the track. She used to. She comes down the track with probably the worst form. That's not good. 98.2 is not good speed either. She doesn't have good form, but she finds way for speed. That speed goes off the pace. 2600s.
Still in the green. How far in front will she be?
17.
Wow.
You know, pretty wild ride to have a. And
well, you know, there's 2 ways that you're fast. Either you look like you're doing nothing and it just flies, and that's the Martin Stukor's way.
I took the most aggressive line I could.
You can see I could take the most aggressive line I could, she said. And well, Katie, I agree with you. So don't steer on the exit of 9 and see if you can get out. But watch, down, centrifugal force, comes back up. Watch her legs come apart. That's her signature, though. She never has those feet together. And she's, you know, again, a world champion, World Cup champion, one of the most successful sliders in U.S. history. She's the leader now, but looks a little frustrated.
What a fighter, though. She just goes, go big or go home. Anja Huber of Germany. The old lady, she says, of women's skeleton in Germany. 30 years old, over 70 World Cup races under her belt, and losing count of how many.
Only 1 time on the podium this year. Another former world champion who is in a slump.
Well, she goes to her home track in Bavaria next week for the final race of the season.
And like Katie Uhlaender, she used to be the best starter in the field. And now, she doesn't have the start that she used to have. The 16th, if I read this right, the 16th best start in the first run?
Yeah, and that start there, John, was a 10th of a second better. Not a 100th, a 10th. So there was definitely issues in her first
happened in the first run.
Yeah, she should be off the pace.
She's the 16th best starter in the first run. She's usually the best starter in the field. You know, a couple years ago when she won her world championship, but tells you there's a lot of more athleticism in the sport than there was 4 or 5 years ago when she was the top dog.
Well, that'll probably end up being the 6th best start, not 16th in the field, I think.
1300s, it's not a gimme that she's going to have the best time down here, 98.2.
Not great numbers. Enough to just keep her nose in front.
118.4 is.
Yeah, 118.4 is not bad. We should see 119s from the fastest, though.
And she comes down 54.96, takes the lead. And she beat Katie Uhlaender there at the start this time.
Yeah. 1800's better in the run, John. A 10th of that was before she even lay down. But she's furious with herself for those mistakes.
What happened? Look at her. She's perplexed.
No speed.
She's won now, but exit of curve 9. The wall. Everybody's coming over and having a little meeting with the wall. And she corrects well. Or look at her use the feet, steer like a rudder.
Well, smile is back, doesn't take long. Anja Huber is our race leader here in Igls. We have 10 sleds still to go in round 7 of the Wiesmann FIBT Skeleton Women's World Cup here in Austria. Well, there's a very different dynamic, I'm sure, for the athletes as well as for the fans, John. Night racing with limited visibility, the lights on the channel really focus your attention, but there's that glare to think about as well. And of course, the temperature drop is really changing the nature of the track almost by the minute.
Well, they didn't practice all week long in these conditions. They practiced most of the time in the morning before the bobsleds came in and dug up the track for them. And now they're racing at night, and it's a real different environment than they practiced in all week. And it's a real different environment from the first run to the second run.
Yeah, definitely. It means your sight lines change as well, so any visual references, even unconsciously, that you're using will look slightly different. And when you're talking about hundredths of a second, slightly different can make a big difference to your slide.
So a former bobsledder, now into the skeleton sport. She was a brakeman, and she owns the track record on a lot of tracks around the world because she is just a fantastic athlete. Maria Gilardoni, and she set the track record in the first run at the start, and I'm sure we have a chance to see it again in the second run. Her issue, though, is she really hasn't figured out how to drive this little... It's not a sled. What is it, Mark? What else do they call it?
Wow, it's a sled. I mean, that's what it is.
They call it
a tea-tray.
Tea-tray.
Yeah, that's a head-forward tea-tray, yeah. Suicide tea-trays on ice. Well, but you're absolutely right. She has got so much potential, and all she needs is time and Mickey Grunberger to bring out that potential. There is your race leader, Anja Huber. How long she will stay in the leader's box remains to be seen. Welcome back to Igls in Austria. Top 10 to go in the 7th race in the Women's Skeleton World Cup. Martin Haven and John Morgan watching Marina Giardoni of Italy.
Switzerland.
Always say Italy.
Set the track record in the first run with a 5:25 in the second heat. 5:28. She drifted around curve 1. This is a former bobsled brakeman who crossed over into skeleton in her 3rd year, and she's a little hellacious driving the sled, but boy, is she an athlete in the first 50 meters. She has the lead, but I'm sure we'll see that go away and red numbers come up pretty quick.
She still looks quite tight on the sled. You watch some of the faster sliders go, they're very relaxed. They look almost like a sack of jello. They're damping the vibration of the sled on the ice, and that's what you need. The tighter you are, the more the sled is jerky and reactive, but that's a great exit.
97.7, that's not the speed. Now to 11, 118 clicks. This could be the first time ever she's going to beat Anja Huber. This is going to be close.
She's 1100s up at the line, 900s. Top 10 finish for Marina
That's a top 10 finish. It's her second top 10 finish of her career. Michael Grunberger, the former Austrian, now coaching the Swiss program. He knows he's got a rising superstar here because this girl here is a great athlete.
Yes, she is. 2-time junior world champion as a bobsleigh brakewoman. It's her 3rd top 10 finish of the season. Look how happy she is that the run went well like she planned.
Well, this is a start track, and she's the best starter in the world, and she took advantage of it. When she figures out how to drive, watch out.
Well, listen, 5th place in Lake Placid, rather, the best result of her season. That's a driver's track. So she is starting to put it together, but it's got to be on 2 runs. Catherine Eustace of New Zealand, the oldest woman in the second heat, 38 years old, physiotherapist from Wanaka in New Zealand, South Island. And if you're wondering what the logo is, you can see her coach there. That is a kiwi. That's New Zealand's native flightless bird. That's its skeleton. Kiwi skeleton, you get it?
She gives up time to the start. 11th best start in the first run, 51, and not very athletic getting on the sled, but I say it's a power step. 53. She's way off the pace of the Swiss driver, who's Giordani, who's the leader at the bottom. They're only 100 separated in the first run, but Catherine Eustache, she can find a good line on the bottom part of the track and reel her back in, but she's going to have to be perfect. And up here, she drifts a little bit. Now watch the exit here. Middle of the straightaway. Not bad. Down to 31. She can catch her with big speed. Perfect lines, like that. 97.8. Not big
sure
speed.
She's going to get very close.
Going to run out of track.
3/10 back.
118.9, the fastest speed we've seen so far.
74 miles an hour.
I think she's going to run out of track.
She's going to be within a 10th. She's with
her best time. Just ran out of track. Look at that speed. That tells me, though, that there's a lot of speed left in this track. We're going to see somebody get into that 74.5 miles an hour, 119 clicks. First athlete we've seen in that number. Yeah. All day, all night.
Speeds from Catherine Eustace. Track could get quicker and quicker here. She slips to 3rd.
Look at the exit of 10. This is where she got all the speed, right here. Well, 3rd best speed, 118.9.
119.8 from Marion Thies. That's really motoring, over 75
I forgot about Marion Thies had the 119. 118.9 is not bad. Catherine Eustache fell a couple places, though. The athletes that beat her at the start.
Michelle Steele of Australia tied for 7th place in the 2nd heat now of the Women's Skeleton World Cup here in Igls, Austria. Martin Haven, John Morgan calling the action. There's Marina Giordani of Switzerland, our race leader.
And watch this little diminutive athlete with the 2-hand push. And watch her get on the sled. Look at that last launch. And then gets her chest into the sled, her feet are up in the air, power step. She had the 3rd best start of the first run. 2nd here behind Giordani, who's the leader at the bottom, but Steele, much better driver. And the separation in the 1st and 2nd run is about 700ths. Steele's been around for 2 Olympics, approaching a 3rd. One of the smaller athletes in the field, diminutive in size. That's the first athlete we've seen on the other side of the exit of Kreisel. See if that costs pretty good there.
A season away from the sport a couple of years ago to complete her physio exams. 117.4 is shockingly slow at the bottom.
This is going to be close. Doesn't have the speed of the Swiss sled.
The line, I think.
200
in a second, goodness me. Wow, she is in.
Smith, Eric Benotis, a couple Americans coaching the Australians.
She's in the lead by a hair's breadth, John. That was very close.
Giordani, I'm telling you, is a rising star of the Swiss program. Michelle Steele hung on.
From tropical northern Queensland.
Watch that, she comes down, everybody else is hitting the right side. Look at her, she comes out and hits the left side wall. That's the first athlete we've seen in either heat come out on that side of the Kreisel. Maybe that's their biggest mistake of the run, but I hadn't seen anybody else over there. That was ice that hasn't even been dug up.
Yeah.
Awesome first year.
Great camaraderie here amongst women scouting.
And there's the big smile on the helmet of Shelley Rudman, our world champion, and 2 seasons ago, our World Cup champion. He's had a bit of a mixed fortunes here in the last 3 years, but 4 years ago was the European champion on this track. Let's see what a 32-year-old from Sheffield and Pusey in Wiltshire can do.
Tied with Michelle Steele at the end of the first run. 5:58 the first run at the 50-meter start. 5:55 here. She's improved. You know, we have to bring up again, all 3 Canadian athletes, female athletes, pulled out of this race because of concussion concerns. And according to Coach Duff Gibson, he wanted the rest of the team, and he will do that into the Sochi Olympic Games. But this provides a lot of opportunity because two of those Canadian athletes were always very successful in this track. And Shelley Rudman is an athlete, the present world champion, former World Cup champion, and in my opinion, didn't have a very good first run. These are not very good speeds at all. No. She's way off the pace.
She's still 0.3 of a second behind and showing no signs of being able to close. Wow. 120 kilometers an hour.
Weird, something weird.
Now, how close will she get from 600s away to take the lead by nearly 2/10? 120 kilometers an hour at the bottom, 74.5 miles an hour. That is insane speed, and 99.2 in the labyrinth as well. Way quicker than anyone we've seen. And she's going, what? Well, how did that happen?
You're talking about the present world champion, World Cup champion in the past. You don't have those titles unless you can find speed in the bottom part of the track. Here's the exit of 10. She taps here coming into 11. I thought that would cost her, but she flew down here like no one else on this track so far.
Insane
10, 11, 12. Yeah, she was 30 hundredths down. And next thing you know, she's the leader. I'm very impressed. Here in the finish, she hits before the finish line, too. Still has the best speed. Shelley, I'm impressed.
That Bromley Tech sled is flying at the bottom. Next up, Maria Oliver of Russia. The Russians with a good record here. Oliver in 3rd place here last year. And her 2 teammates have won the last 2 years on this track. Let's see if Maria can improve on 6th position after the first heat.
Start 5:42, 3rd best start, 5:43 in the first run. This is another one of those athletes who's a rising star. The problem is the Russians have 3 or 4 rising stars. It'll be interesting to see who they parade out at the Olympics. And tonight's race probably will determine it. So, you know, the race within a race.
Well, she is their best ranked athlete at the moment on points. But it's a whisker ahead of Yelena Nikitina, who lies in front of her in the race. Still just 25.
Good lines here. She had mistake there, curve 9 the first run. No mistake there, speed. Not as good as Rudman, but she's got enough time in the bank.
But has she? Because Rudman pulled back 2/10 of a second at the bottom. She may drift back. Needs 119 and a lot, and she hasn't got it.
She doesn't.
1100s.
So she only lost 800s at the bottom. There's Willi Schneider, the former German world champion, now coaching the Russians. He builds their sleds. And Maria Orlova, she can head to the leader's box with a much better second run than her first. Look at the feet struggling here. Now 8-9 combination. In the first heat, she was way up here in the outlet. Second heat, she corrected very well. A little bit of a skid across the ice. Look at her eyes. Looking for the magic spot in the bottom part of the track, and she held on, and she's the leader.
Maria Oliver leads for Russia from Shelley Rudman of Great Britain, Michelle Steele of Australia in 3rd with 5 to come here in Igls, Austria.
Good job.
You know my time, second time? No?
The lady.
Can you show?
With a Russia in the leaders box, we have our winner from Russia from 2 years ago with the Tasmanian Devil on the back of her helmet. This is Olga Potylitsina, 24-year-old from Moscow.
5:51
for Olympic selection.
They just flip-flopped those 3 Russians. Orlova came from behind to beat the 2 other Russians. Look at the start now. She probably is just saying, I'm gonna blow this one out. I talked about her power step onto the sled. She probably ran 1 step too far and got on it. Look, too much pressure on the sled when she hit it at the end of the drive lines. Maybe 1 step too far. And well, she's young, she's only 22.
And she's not going to win an Olympic gold medal by taking it easy.
No,
that was
she went for it.
Going hard. 3 sleds to go here in Austria. And Janine Flock, the local heroine, in with a chance of another World Cup podium. She was 4th on this track last year. She took the European bronze medal, because Noelle Piper's Pace, the USA, was 2nd. Can she make the podium here? Oh, the explosion of noise from the Austrian fans.
She's been coming on. Every race seems to get better. This is the most successful Austrian woman skeleton driver ever. The sport was more of the men, and until she came along, and she won 2 medals in the last 4 times out, and this would be a huge success story for her to win a medal on her home track, which she has never done.
She's got to stay in front of Maria Oliver. That is all she needs to do, but she can't be conservative. She's got to race this like she needs the speed.
Good line, but she's down. -4 to +4. Oliver was fast on the bottom. This is Flock's home track. That's a skid.
98.1, not quite as quick as the Russian. Will the gap stay the same?
Doesn't look it, but 1:19.2 is good speed.
Quicker than Oliver by a kilometre an hour. Is it enough to get her into the lead and into the medals? Tie! She's in the medals on home ice. Martin Rettel is excited beyond words. And the single digit will go up to Janine Flock. She knows there were errors. She doesn't know she's in the lead.
Well, in Austria, there's 3 sports in the winter: skiing, skiing, and skiing. And now they're trying to make skeleton a sport that the Austrian press will cover. And good crowd on hand tonight, rooting Flock on, and she delivers the goods. Here, 8-9. This is where she was at a deficit of +4. Look at her feet. Watch her lines here. Little skid here on the exit, but doesn't come over and touch the wall as she does with her foot. But boy, she made up some time on the bottom, and she earns herself no worse than a bronze medal.
Janine Flock from Austria, the 24-year-old from Rum, just down the road. It's about a 10-minute drive from here, is in the lead, tied with Maria Oliver. She's in the podium position that she wanted so much here at home in Austria. 2 sleds to go, and the top 2 women in our season. Noelle Piker's pace versus Lizzie Yarnold. USA versus Great Britain for the most wins this year.
Oh, that wasn't good. 5.58 compared to her start time, 5.7 in the first run. Piker's pace is one of those athletes who can really find big speed on the bottom part of the track. She's +5 now to Orlova and Flock at the bottom, but that's related to the start. Now it's +4. This is what she does.
87.5 is great speed. Fastest we've seen, John.
There's the green numbers. She's thinking about gold. She's got to be perfect here.
99 kilometers an hour.
100 kilometers an hour. First athlete there. Could see 120. There it is.
120.6, fastest speed from Noelle Piker's pace. She'll blow the contenders out of the water by 0.3 of a second.
Bottom part of the track. She didn't have that type of line. Tuffy Latour, the coach, knows.
Yeah, she knows too.
Boy, she just, when she gets the opportunity to let it fly, she can find speed, and boy, did she do it there.
Well, this is her last race here in Igls. Her daughter had a trip down the track on a skeleton yesterday.
She's 5.
The new generation is starting.
Well, 8-9, you want to see how to do it. Look at her head, look at her profile, look at her feet. Is she dragging any feet here?
No, not a touch.
Look at this, and this is the exit of 9. This is the pivotal part of the track. Feet come out a little bit to control the exit here, but watch, she doesn't come over and bang the wall. The first heat, she came over, banged the wall hard and had a skid. This heat, she accelerated, and that's why she's the leader.
And there is her husband, Jansen, who builds the Protostar sleds, for the Newquest sleds, rather. And here is our World Cup points leader, Elizabeth Yarnold of Great Britain. What a standout season this young woman is having. 25 years old from Sevenoaks in Kent. She, like Noelle Piker's pace, 3 gold medals this season. She led the first heat by 0.09 of a second.
On the sled, very, very early. 5.43 in the first run. 5.41, even better start. So she has a 1/4 second lead, which is an eternity of time when she's the World Cup leader. It's
48.4, a kilometre an hour quicker than Noelle Piker's pace.
Which is expected because of the superior start. She's got half-second lead, so I can't see anything here that would change.
Don't say things like that. 87.5 87.1. Noelle was 87.5. Noelle was 100.1 kilometers an hour through the next speed track. She's still
way right here. She bangs the wall hard, and she does it. Two good runs in a row. Huge speed. This is why this Elizabeth Yarnall is the World Cup leader.
Lizzie Arnold, the World Cup leader, the yellow jersey, leads into the final corner here at Igls, and she will take her 4th win of the season. Noelle Piker's pace in the silver medal position again. And there is the coach, Andy Schmidt. For her first 2 seasons on ice, Lizzie Arnold didn't do anything to Mervyn her sled, just concentrated on making Lizzie better. Now she and Andy are working on the setup as well as the athlete, and the results are flooding in rather than flowing in. Win number 4 of the season, her worst result 3rd. She's got 2 silvers and 4 golds. And once more, family and friends, the support blanket that every athlete needs so much, are there to offer their congratulations.
Nice race. Well done,
Win number 4 of the season. We reckon that must make her Great Britain's most successful skeleton slider in any season. Another big start from Lizzie Arnold, very controlled into the first corner, kept the momentum on board, and slid all the way down to lead this race from the front in both heats. She claims victory here in Innsbruck in Austria. Clive and Judith Yarnall down there as well, as Lizzie takes victory. Noelle Piker's pace in 2nd, and 2 bronze medals for Janine Flock of Austria and Maria Oliver, and Flock on home ice on the podium for the first time in her senior career. Shelley Rudman in 5th, Yelena Nikitina, last year's winner, in 6th. The best of the Russians, Maria Oliver, this weekend. There are your finishing order, and there your top 3.
Third with Janine together, 3rd place. Yeah, where's Janine?
Well, there won't be many people that will deny Janine Flock a medal on home ice. She has been doing so well this season. What a standout year she's having. Top 4 in the World Cup rankings: Lizzie Arnold, Noelle Piker's pace, Shelley Rudman, Janine Flock. That tells you how great the young Austria girl is doing. There are so many smiling faces in this women's skeleton field, and Janine often has one of the very biggest, and a standout season. And this work that Martin Rettel has been doing with her to concentrate on the athlete and not lead herself up blind alleys with the sled, not look for solutions in the tech, but look for solutions in the head, that's had a dramatic effect on her career. And she is already Austria's most successful female skeleton slider. And in terms of the men, well, the next generation is coming. Christian Auer, for many years, a very, very successful skeleton slider for Austria. And Sam Moritz on Monday was watching, training for the Europa Cup race, and his 2 sons are both coming. They're in Europa Cup already, and they will be on the World Cup in the next couple of seasons. Austria is heading back to where it used to be in skeleton. Well, night has fallen here. It's nearly 7 in the evening in Innsbruck, and our first race of the weekend sees the top 2 women in the world battle again for the podium: Lizzie Arnold and Noelle Piker's pace. And Lizzie Arnold steps in front, win number 4 of the season from 7 starts. Welcome back to Innsbruck in Austria. Lizzie Arnold, our World Cup leader, wins again, win number 4 of the season. Noelle Piker's pace takes 2nd. Shelley Rudman and Janine Flock stay 3rd and 4th in the World Cup rankings. Anya Huber in 5th, Marion T still in 6th, but Maria Oliver is now the most successful Russian. Very, very important that, because they won't get 3 sleds, they may get 2. They may get 3, depends on the total points for all of the athletes after today. With the Canadians not competing, they may have signed, sealed and delivered that extra Russian berth in the Winter Olympics in Sochi in 2014, which will be coming up in just 3 weeks' time. So Clive Arnold down there, and lots of friends and family. Here are our top three. Lizzie Arnold, the leader. Our top three are four, because Noel Piker's pace gets the silver medal. Joint bronze, though, from Maria Orlova, who moves to be top Russian at the Olympic points cutoff. And Janine Flock of Austria, a huge moment for her to take a podium result in Austria. Lizzie Arnold, what a season this woman is having. Wins in Calgary, in Lake Placid, in Winterberg, and now in Innsbruck in Austria. A great start from Lizzie, made no mistakes, got on where she needed to guarantee she'd carry that speed onto the top portion of the track. And a couple of really crucial points ironed out. Got 9 absolutely drilled, and look at this. Copybook stuff from Lizzie Arnold. Andy Schmidt delighted. I'm sure that she will be as well. Have to say, I'm thrilled to be watching so much British success in this season. Well, let's get down and hear from our top 4 there with John Morgan.
Janine Flock, bronze medal on your home track. This must be exciting for you.
Yes, of course. It's great to be on the podium back. The last podium was in Lake Placid, and now it's a home track in the hometown, the 3rd place. It's awesome.
Congratulations, enjoy the moment. Maria, a great second run for you.
Yeah, it was not bad. I'm happy, I'm concentrated and try not to lose a lot.
The Russians have always done well on the track. You've maintained the position. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Noel, second run seemed like it was better than your first run.
Yeah, it was for sure. Sorry. Lacey's going down the track right now, so I'm listening for her time, but well deserved by Lizzie. She had an awesome race, and this has been such a fun battle going back and forth every race. It's fun to see who comes out on top, so well done to Lizzie, and I felt like I gave it my best, so I'm happy.
And Lizzie, your first run was great, but your second run on the exit of Curve 9, I think it was the best line all night. Could you feel that?
I could actually feel the speed. It's the first time ever I've actually got corner 9 right, so I'm really chuffed with that. But I'm just most thankful to my mum and dad who've come out once again to come and watch me and support me. I couldn't do it without the support of the team, British Skeleton team, but my family and everyone at home supporting me. So thanks everyone, and I'll just keep doing my best, and hopefully it brings these results.
Well, great results. Thank you.
Well, wherever they are, the bookmakers have got to be shortening the odds on those 2 women. Lizzie Arnold, Noel Piker's pace, our hot favourites, and Janine Flock and Maria Orlova. Orlova in 3rd place again, as she was last year. Janine Flock missed out by a couple of hundreds last year, was 4th. She doesn't miss out this year. She's on the podium on home ice here in Austria. Well, that's it from Igls for the women's skeleton. One more race of their season before the Olympic Games, but the Olympic cut-off decisions will be made by the teams for the end of the weekend. From John Morgan and the FIBT TV crew, from me, Martin Haven, thanks for joining us. We'll be back with lots more action from the Austrian track here in Innsbruck.